Sip and Smoke, where we sip fine beer here. We have, let's see if I got some sound, guys, before we start doing this. As always, got to check the sound on this stupid phone application of Streamlabs. We will know shortly here if we are indeed. Yep, we got some sound. Application Streamlabs. Sweet, excellent. Again, this is Sip and Smoke, where we rate and drink fine beer and cigars. We actually discuss MMA as we are doing this. So welcome, bow betters, to Sip and Smoke. Welcome, bow betters. So hey, today, guys, I'm doing something a little different. This is going to be part one of a two-part series. While I was at the cigar shop, someone came in and asked for a cheap cigar. And I would have recommended something like La Aurora at $5.64. But the guy who was in the humidor was like, hey, I have these. You want the cheap smokes? These are what I got. And he pointed out to this gentleman these factory smokes from Drew Estates, which I've not heard of or had yet. They are a handmade cigar, but they're made out of shorts or seconds with some full tobacco. This is their Maduro version. This cigar here is less than $4. It was $3.25. I'm going to challenge that. While I was looking for another smoke, I touched this Maduro, or at least came about it because of the beautiful. Let me get that. It's on this side. The camera's on this side. The beautiful band. I'm taken by marketing. Like, look at that lady. There she is. She's working hard in the fields, right? The same woman, I think. Look at that band, how beautiful that is. And then later on, she becomes a lady, not of the night. I don't want to say that per se. But when she gets to relax, she gets to enjoy the fruits of her labor. And it didn't come in there that clear. Come on, show it. There it is. Yeah, so then she's enjoying a cigar, but real detailed on this band, and then just a deep, rich color. Let's look at the two. This cigar here, this one here, the EP Carrillo, is a $13 cigar. It was $12.95, a little bit in the premium, but I wanted to do this challenge. It's going to have to be in two parts. Ideally, I would have better control. I'm pairing it with this new beer company that I've not had any of their stuff, Hidden Hand Brewing. They had a few interesting cans, and I picked this one because it's a collab with Pipeworks. It's a hazy Indian IPA with Citro, Mosaic, and Simcoe hops. So the one-horned wonder of modern hop dominance descended from the heavens. You believe, oh wait, that was read so poorly there. It's like I can't read. Sound like Joey. The one-handed wonder of modern hot dominance descended from the heavens. Do you believe a layered lemon peel and buried stone fruit future always awaits true pine believers? So this is going to be a little similar to what I had yesterday, but with more lemon. The can, I love the name, and that unicorns do not believe in you either. Right, I dig that. It's got a cool color. We're gonna see how that beer is. So we're gonna pair that. I will probably save a can. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna smoke the cheap factory smoke first today, and then sometime next week, which isn't always fair. It isn't a controlled environment. I'm gonna smoke this more premium, the $12 one, which we'll have as the challenge. But right out the gate, just looking at them, let me take them out of the cellos here for a second, and also get the beers flowing. Out of the cellos. Man, yeah, I could smell the chocolate in the Carrillo right away. I'm sorry to take you guys off the camera there, but you could tell instantly the coloration variance. Like this, the Carrillo cigar is more of your typical Maduro, right? Look at the color difference there, guys. That's pretty drastic in terms of the variation. What's up, Real News? I didn't go into work today. I didn't work any extra hours. I was supposed to have lunch with a friend. So I have time. I decided, hey, you know what? We're going to discuss MMA. We're going to discuss the next event. because I was interested in a few things in that event. In particular, we'll start discussing the bout between Bilal Muhammad and Gilbert Burns. I'm very intrigued in that matchup, as well as the matchup between Henry Cejudo and Aljamain Sterling. What I would say about the Bilal Muhammad Gilbert Burns matchup, it is about two guys that, just like, including all Aljamain Sterling and Henry Cejudo, these are all fighters that lost at a certain point and then hit a certain other level. They plateaued and lost, and then they came back and overachieved. They really transcended into becoming great fighters, changing their styles, and just getting better after losses. And all four of them have that ability. I mean, Bilal Muhammad's performance against Sean Brady was insane. And Gilbert Burns of late has just been tearing people up. I mean, he beat Masvidal out on the feet. He didn't have to use any of his jiu-jitsu, any of his wrestling, or even his counter wrestling, just using pure hands, which he didn't need to do. He had a huge wrestling as well as jiu-jitsu upside and didn't use it. Same with Bilal Muhammad. Didn't utilize any of his wrestling. Utilized those hands to keep on top and really just dominate Sean Brady and knock him out, finally get that finish. In Henry Cejudo, the development of him as a mixed martial arts fighter, whether you like his personality or not, and remember, it's all shtick, is pretty impressive. From defeating one of the greatest fighters of all time to becoming the champion, defending his title against serious contenders, and then retiring while on top and coming back to fight Aljo, who also had defeat early in his career and came back to become the champion. And changed his style. These guys are four complete mixed martial arts artists, and I think there are some advantages for either in here. But before we're going to get that, we're going to pour out this beer. Watch check today is my cheaper Timex that I put on this suede band. I have a leather band that's identical to it. It matches the yellow in the shirt. And the importance of having a lot of bands, guys, is good because you can mix and match it to your pants color, your shirt's color. This watch is turning out, even though it is one of my cheaper watches, because it's a white face chrono, it has some of the most versatility in terms of, I could put it with any band. I could put it with an orange band. I could put it with the leather band. I could put it with the green leather band I have. I could put it with the brown band. It, in my opinion, is the most. Oh, the Sugas is about the same because it also is a white face chronograph. But this one, I would argue, is the most versatile watch I have, and it's the least expensive. This one, again, I think is selling now for like under $40. Great value on it. It has that indigo glow feature, which I can't really show you. Let me see if I can. No, I can't show you at the same time I hold the camera. But I do like this this suede strap. I haven't put the quick release on it. It's brand new. I have a couple straps. What happens? What happens? Oh, I get a little drunk and buzz, and I forget that I bought shit that was very similar when I get on Amazon, and then I bought another one because I have a leather, just a fine leather that's not suede, that is exactly the same color. But this one has a little bit slight different texture. I should have got it in 19 millimeters to put on some of the other watches since I already had a yellow 20 millimeters. But regardless, nice looking watch, great looking strap, matches everything, goes well. So today we're going to start with the factory smoke, and we're going to save the other smoke. Oh, 1 second, guys. Let me do another thing here. We're going to save the more premium cigar, the Pledge, for next week or a different time. But we will have the comparison. It would be nice to have a second person, and I would do it side by side. I think that would be fairer to it. But we'll remember the notes. I'll be able to review what we did here. I'll be able to take a look and recall of the cigars, right? Like, we'll just remember and be honest and we'll be fair in our assessments of what we think of the cigars, right? Like, right out the gate, as I was mentioning to you guys, I still like the color of the Pledge. Strong earth and a little chocolate there. Not liking the box pressing there. It's got a very strong box press. Okay, this one doesn't have the strong earth tone, but more wood and a little more spice. It doesn't have the chocolate character, the chocolate look on the actual cigar, nor the smell on the nose. This one looks more like your typical or traditional Maduro, and I enjoy that. This one here has that habanero look. It looks like a full leaf wrapper, but the filler is what's going to be the chopped leaf or the small leaf. What's up, Brian? Welcome, Bow Butters. So yeah, just out of the look, I like the dimensions or the size of the factory smokes, but what really is going to matter is how they actually smoke. So we're going to get to that. Plus, we're going to get to our beer here. Beer here! Beer here! With the, as we mentioned before, unicorns don't believe in you either, right? So we got another beer here. Brian, what do you think about that bout between Gilbert Burns and Bilal Muhammad? I think it's a good co-main event. I think both guys have deserved that. Gilbert Burns has already had his title shot for sure. If Bilal wins, you cannot deny him a title shot. He would have beat everybody coming through. Not in fantastic fashion. The guy is a bit of a decisionator of late. You know, he had that finish. Brian says Burns is getting subbed. I mean, that's the thing here. I think it's going to stay on the feet. I think that Burns he's shown to have the better hands, but look how good Bilal Muhammad did against Sean Brady. I mean, it's not like his hands haven't gotten bad either. I think that Burns would be wise maybe to use his jiu-jitsu, and Burns looking for the submission rather than trying to stand and trade and possibly even get, wear down and get I think the other thing about that fight, I think it's just going to be a 3-round fight. It's only going to be 3 rounds, right? I mean, it's a title eliminator bout, just like Jessica Andrade and Sean Yunan, right? There's no belt going on there, which is interesting. Same with most of our Eva Lev and Bryce Mitchell. We already saw what I felt there. Crown Gracie versus Charles Jourdain. Not an eliminator, but that has some like future implications for both fighters. But the fights that I'm more the main co-main, as well as the 3 fights that are 1 title and the other ones are 2 title eliminators, Jessica Andrade and Yan Xiaonan, really stand out as being like really good fights that should have been main events rather than like a main event that they had now. Of course, they needed it to sell. Okay. All right. Okay. Right off the bat. Interesting. It has more of a hickory. More of a barbecue-y wood sort of taste to it, like apple wood, which is interesting. I don't mind that. I think that's great. Let's see this here. Let's see the beer. Yeah, lots of lemon. Oh, that's good. Soft, juicy, like a hint of apricot with lemon. It's a little sour. I'm not big into these sour beers. It has more of that sour taste with juice. If you're into a sour, there are other more sours, but if you like more of a traditional IPA, but don't mind a little sourness to it, this is your beer here. This has a little bit of sour with that nice little slight apricot creaminess to it. Good juicy character, excellent body, excellent beer. No, the main event this week is Song Yadong versus this dude, Ricky Simone. Yeah, it's next week. It's or is it next week or the following week? What is that date here? What is this date on this one? May 6th is the Henry Cejudo Aljamain Sterling bout. Yeah, there isn't a lot right out the nose on this cigar. I'm just getting a little wood. There isn't anything that is distinguishing it. It doesn't have that funk. As I mentioned earlier, I like that funky, musty jungle smell. It's always my preference in most cigars. I don't know how else to describe it other than that, even though it's not the best description. But when you smell it, and I smell it, I'll know, and I'll be like, ooh, I like this cigar. I'll know that it has that real, that oil, that earth richness, that it came from very fertile ground. Even if it almost smells a little like manure. Like it has that just natural manure, natural earth smell to it. It's going to be a good cigar. This, I already have more woods that I smell into it. Smell it. Yeah, that beer is very full-bodied. Unlike yesterday that had that little lighter beer, this isn't as light. Take a look at this. Right? It still has that citrus characters, but it's still more of a juice. And like I said, it has a little, almost a hint of apricot. And there's that pine. More the lemon. Interesting. That beer is a collage of many a flavor. It's all over the place, and that's fine. It's like a cigar. It's diverse, and I appreciate that it's not monochromatic, but mono. Just doesn't have one flavor. It's really mingling well. It's like a genuine mosaic of flavors in that particular beer right there, and of textures. Like it's creamy, but at the same time a little sour, and at the same time juicy. So it's very interesting. Not bad. Lots of wood. There's a little chocolate, but not a ton. Let me see if I get a little bit more of this cap off here. It's decent draw, not the fullest, but it's decent. Not super chocolatey. A little bit tough on the draw here. A little bit tough. I don't know if it's the cut I made initially. It could be. It looks well rolled. It's a larger gauge cigar. It's soft. Has a slight chocolate to it. It's there. Mm. Very subtle. Little light sweetness at the end there. Nothing great or nothing horrible. Very consistent. It doesn't seem to have a lot in the middle. Like it has that nice wood start and a little slight sweetness to it. It's a soft chocolate. I like that more deep black chocolate is really what my preference is. And we'll see if the other cigar has that. But this, let's see how it changes. But it's not bad for what we paid for, $3.45. It's could be pretty damn good. I found that La Aurora cigar that I reviewed before. I think we paid $5.40 when we were looking for cigars around the $5 range to be one of the best dollar for dollar smokes that I've had thus far on the show overall, compared to like that cigar, for example. The other cigar, the EP Carrillo, is $13, right? We're in that ultra premium or higher premium price point at that range point. Whereas this is $3.45. It's going to give you that nicotine kick that you're going to want. It's going to satisfy or check a lot of boxes, like the type of cigar that you would give, say, to, I wouldn't say necessarily to a novice, But if you're around a bunch of drunk guys, like everybody came back from the bar, like, hey, Roberto, let me get, heard you got the good cigars. Let me get a good cigar. This would be like the cigar that you pass out whenever you come back from the bar, you come back from outdoor concert or something. Everybody's in the backyard around a fire. They're not as versed in cigars as you are. They're just wanting to smoke a cigar. You take the band, or not even take the bands off of these. You pass these around. You give these cigars to them. Then you take La Gloria. You smoke your Monte Cristo or your cigar, and you pass these to them because you won't get upset if they forget about it in an ashtray, right? If they get drunk and leave it, or if they drop it into the fire. You're not going to get upset if someone decides like, oh, I don't like it or whatever. You just spent $3 on it, so. And I think you could really give this to a novice. It's not peppery, it's not spicy, it's not strong. It has a nice little flavor. It's very soft. It's nothing. It's got a little that hickory or that applewood smoke to it, like barbecue. For some reason, it reminds me of barbecue for some reason, which is fine. I think that's great. It's really at the end there, and then it has a little flint to it. It's lighter bodied. The draw is a challenge for me. I like the finish. It's not a typical Maduro, but it's got good flavor. It's not bad at all. Initial rating. Just because it's not as defined and definitive as the cigar that we had yesterday with the defined flavors that it has. I'm going to give it a 6.5. For now, but that could change. That could change, guys. We can't have all nines. We can't have it. And I'm not saying that just because it's a cheap smoke. It just doesn't have the definitive flavor characteristics and values that I want out of a Maduro and that I want out of a cigar. It's not chocolatey enough for me. It's not sweet enough for me. It's not oily enough for me. It's not lathering the palate enough for me. It's tough to draw. It has a decent nose, but nothing that is reminds me of aging, or something that's more premium. But not a bad smoke. I definitely have to pick up a handful of these, and I agree with the guy at the humidor who pointed these out. Is like, these are good cigars for the top of the humidor. You put these at the top of your humidor where if you're going, outdoors, you're going to be outdoors and nothing's fantastic. You need a smoke just to sort of get that cigar in. You're going to be doing something else like drinking or golf. Good golf cigar, because you're going to be golfing. You're not going to really enjoy the smoke as much as you think. This would be a good golf cigar, for example. Good cigar for fishing. Actually, I would probably like something else better than this for fishing. I think fishing sometimes, if you're doing like bobber fishing like I would be doing, that slow fishing, you have time to really just enjoy your smoke. Although sometimes outdoors and with the other scents, like a good cigar isn't there. But this is a good utility cigar. Yeah. Nice little sweetness at the end. It just doesn't have enough at the beginning. Revenge is sweet, yes. Simone by sub is a possibility. But Song Yudong is tough to take down, tough to get down. It would have to be a club and sub, and that's going to be hard to do. Song Yudong is a brick wall of a man. This beer is rich. It's rich in flavors, rich in texture. 8.5. You know, a little lemony for my taste, but still like it with a little slight sourness. But it's so slight. It's a soft sourness, which I enjoy rather than like we had the Short Fuse margarita beer before, and what Short Fuse is putting out, which are straight sours, and they're becoming really very popular right now. Oh, Brew News has corrected me. He's saying that Bilal and this dude are 5 rounds. They agreed to it contractually. Great for them. Yeah, Real News is on Bilal by decision, but he can't see myself betting that. I'm not, brother. I'm a firm believer in Gilbert Burns and his improvements, man. His fight IQ is there. I think he's tasted that defeat, and you know the prop isn't out there at minus 143. I wouldn't say it's overpriced, that he's overpriced, but it's right where it should be, or a little bit less than that. I'd have to agree with Vegas saying that he has the more upside chances of victory. And you see now that I'm so interested on why Henry Cejudo has moved into a slight favorite now. In fact, all the props are out there for that, right? Looks like they listed the props. The over 1.5 is minus 560. The over 2.5 minus 295. The over 3.5 is minus 205, and the over 4.5 is minus 159. So they see this going to a decision between Aljo and Henry Cejudo. And I could see why Cejudo would be the favorite if that would happen, because, I mean, Cejudo has the better wrestling, but not the better submission grappling or the better submission wrestling. Both these guys got a chin. So if you suspect, I think out of all of those, the under 1.5 is plus 335. I think that's unlikely. Under 2.5 plus 210. Under 3.5 is plus 150, and the under 4.5 is plus 120. If you're really figuring a finish, it's just tough to predict when it would happen. I think the not to go the distance at plus money would be the play, but I'm not on that outcome myself. I think 5 rounds, there's really, really a good chance for either of these guys to get a finish, but I might have to lean just towards Vegas. They have decision only. If Aljo minus 105 and Henry Cejudo minus 127, those might be, and Vegas is not even sure what the finish only. Finish only is minus 118 and Cejudo is minus 112. So betting this fight is going to be a challenge, guys. That Vegas is, really not offering anything that favorable for either fighter. Yeah, a little flinty there. That slight sweetness to it. More of that little, was that hickory? A slight hickory, smoky hickoryness to it. Renu's saying he's liking Daniel Santos over Johnny Munoz Jr., but he hasn't seen the odds. Yeah, I don't see the odds here, so I'm not going to be able to speak to them. I think, for this thing, I'm really just focusing in on. Oh, actually, Marina Rodriguez is on this. Marina Rodriguez is also on this card. There it is. No, yeah, Munoz. The odds are there. Daniel Santos is actually minus 167 over Johnny Munoz Jr. I'm not certain about a lot of that here. I do like Marina Rodriguez. Man, that Chaos William number, minus 305. And I'm surprised that Jessica Andrade is a favorite over Chanel Yan. I mean, I'm very surprised at that. Yeah, looking at, I'm not too impressed with either of these cards. I mean, the Bahama, it's not so bad. The May 6 card, not bad. As a main event, Bilal Burns, it ends up well. Evil Mitchell's interesting. Gracie Jourdain is interesting. Jessica Andrade is always exciting. She's going to get another chance at a title as well. Let's see how that fares. It's not bad at all. It's not bad at all. Rodriguez Jandaroba is good. Kennedy Njoku, Devin Clark. I'm surprised they haven't met already. Yeah, very soft, subtle cigar. Burning real well. Very uniform. I mean, you can attack that next week's main event or May 6th main event on the money line. I mean, Sterling or Henry Cejudo, you could jump on them now for close to even money. And Gilbert Burns, man, yeah, that's just a tough bout. I think he's got it. I think he's got Bilal in this particular bout. But what's hard to bet against Bilal right now is the dude has changed up his game. He's just gotten better. But so has Burns. I think that if Burns could get the takedown and actually get a favorable position, I like Burns by sub rather than Bilal. And on the feet, I like Burns as well. I think he's crafty. He's got some speed. He's vastly improved on his hands. And Bilal has too, but I don't think he's excelled as much as Gilbert Burns has on the feet. And he definitely doesn't have the submission grappling that Burns has, which I think it could come down to that. I know that Bilal might have some good submission defense and good countering, but it might not be enough against Burns. He might, if he panics, he makes the wrong decision, and Burns could do that to him. I think Burns is going to be mixing it up and has been very well lately, just like Henry Cejudo, and Aljamain Sterling. Really, two really good bouts, guys. I wouldn't hate you if you parlayed either other way. If you went like Bilal Muhammad with Aljamain Sterling, you picked the two dogs, you're at plus 319. You picked the two favorites in Gilbert Burns, and you parlayed it with Henry Cejudo, and you're at plus 216. Either or are great two-pick parlays. Like those two bouts to parlay, as for a two-pick, is good money. I think it's a really good opportunity there to make some cash. Burns and Aljo is plus 230. Cejudo and Bilal is plus 302. That's not bad either. Right? If you're confident on your Bilal bet, why not try to parlay him with either Aljo or Henry Cejudo? At the price you're getting there, you're gonna make a little bit more money. Right? Especially if you're betting at lower increments, right? Not just the bigger increments. If you're betting at those lower increments, you could still make some decent money hitting somebody hard on the money line for like half unit to a unit. So $50 to $100 on the money line, and then throwing another 25 or 30, say like 25 or half of that, half of whatever you bet on the money line, put it in a parlay with either fighter, just to try to like juice up your potential winnings and your profit. I might decide to do that week. We'll see how it goes this week. And I mean, there are, I think next week, there are a lot more betting opportunities than this week. The May 6th card has more fights, more possible finishes. The UFC likes big finishes like Njoku versus Devin Clark. I think Kenny Njoku, if he fights aggressively, can get a finish. He could finish Devin Clark here. Otherwise, even Devin Clark might be able to like ground and pound Kenny Njoku if he implements a grappling heavy approach. I could see Marina Rodriguez actually knocking out Virna Jandiroba, or Roba actually knocking out Marina Rodriguez if she's not careful. I'm not as keen on Johnny Munoz Jr. and Daniel Santos. Phil Hawes, I can't go for Irkham Aliskarov at that price, and I'm not backing Phil Hawes. Drew Dober, I think, I favor him soundly against Matt Favola. He's at minus 215 now. I don't know how that changed from yesterday. Not going to wager anything on Claudio Ribeiro versus Joseph Holmes. Definitely not betting Parker Porter at minus 148. Fuck no. Against Smith Braxton, don't really care. I cannot, I think there's going to be a finish in the Chaos Williams versus Rolando Bedoya, unless Rolando Bedoya comes out and has some spectacular control in wrestling. I think the Chaos Williams will get the KO there, but who knows? I mean, I don't really know, but let's see what happens there. Not bad. A little hickory. Interesting. It just doesn't have a lot of diversity. There isn't that hint of something on the first. It's very bland almost on the start. Then in the middle, it has a decent sort of flint hickoryness to it with the little smoky / sweet finish, right? And like I said, this is a great cigar to hand to your buddies. You don't want to give them your $10 smoke, your $12 smoke. They're not cigar connoisseurs like you are. They're not cigar enthusiasts. They just want to smoke after you came from the bar, came from a concert, we're out on the lake or out on the boat or something like that. You need some of these cigars to sort of spare your wallet, not necessarily to be a cheap ass, but if the guys are already been partying, they're drinking a bit, they smoked up. Yeah, they're definitely liking Phil Hawes. They're giving both of these guys a chance, or not liking Phil Hawes. I'm not. I have to look at what I would bet rather than what the UFC is doing. Sometimes to some extent, that could be a good thing or a bad thing for Phil Hawes. I have to go back and look at Irkham Aliskarov's fight there. Why he's that much of a favorite against Phil Hawes, who is still dangerous. I don't know, but Phil Hawes is a little chinny, and he doesn't have the best gas tank, and he's really good in the first round and a half, but he doesn't finish very well. And if he doesn't finish you, he has big problems. So, it's all alarms, but Phil Hawes is just not upper level. So why he's being fed, he could be fed, but why is the guy from Contender Series minus 335 out the gate like that against Phil Hawes? That's a little suspect. They could be underselling Phil Hawes in this particular instance. Because Phil Hawes has a ton of experience, trains over there, I believe, with Henry Hooft and those guys as well. So he's well coached. And going back to fight IQ, I would have to say that even though back to the two main events I really wanted to talk about, those four fighters, even though Aljo doesn't get any credit, Aljo has a very high fight IQ. He knows when he grabbed that backpack against Sanhagen, he knew what he was doing, right? He knew that he had that advantage. What he did to Jan, just textbook. Cejudo has been giving master classes and has been probably the coach of the year with so many fighters out there fight ready. Everybody that goes there just gets better. I mean, you look at what he does in the show, the guy's just super analytical, very intelligent. And the same things can be said about Bilal Muhammad and Gilbert Burns. Bilal making adjustments, going out to train with Khabib, working on his hands, just changing his style up, just constantly developing. Gilbert Burns, same thing as a coach. A great fighter's fighter, great coach, great mind, very aware, very versatile, very just the fight awareness on all four of these guys is super high level, and it's at that championship caliber. That's why Bilal Burns, whoever wins that, should get. I think that the fighter of that should have gotten the call before Colby, but Masvidal fucked up. Masvidal didn't get that fight. He lost to Burns, but he also didn't really work hard enough to get that Rocky fight. He could have tried to get Edwards to bite a little bit harder. It seemed like Dana was just sold on Colby Covington getting that opportunity, though. But that line has yet to come out. Or is it? Yeah, no, it hasn't come out yet. I saw it. I thought I saw it before, but it looks like Rivers has taken it out. So I think they had Colby Covington as a slight favorite in that bout. So we're going to see where it ends up being back. But I'm not that excited about that. Next week, I'm excited about the two main events primarily. This week, I'm not necessarily super excited, but we made the bets, guys. I put in the bet with Martin Bidet. I just put in a half unit on Martin Bidet. I threw a quarter unit on Cody Durden, even though I know Charles Johnson, if he has a comeback victory on himself. I did the parlay of Kai Baralho, but I did it actually with, somebody that I don't necessarily trust that much, but I think is going to win that fight because if he just protects that chin, he's going to be more active and has a ton of more experience. I parlayed him with Julian Erosa is what I did. And I left the Song Yadong, Ricky Simone fight alone. I didn't bet that one. So right now, those were the bets that I did put in. Bidet being my biggest bet, Cody Durden just being sort of a little gas money towards it. And then I'm still waiting on the Kai Barao submission line as well as the Rodolfo Vieira submission lines to develop before I go there. So that must stink up the house. No, it really doesn't stink up the house. There's plenty of other things that could stink up the house. Yeah, there's other ways too. They sell Imosium, things that for the house. You can light a candle, get rid of the smell pretty fast. It dissipates like within a day or so. It doesn't stay that long. The smell of these, like I prefer to smoke them indoors. It's better indoors, but I don't mind smoking them in the backyard as we used to have them. It's nice sitting out there, but it isn't weather where we're there at this point. So. When the house already smells of weed and cigarettes, it doesn't really matter as much. The cigars are actually a little bit of a relief, a little countering of that as well. I think if anything of smoking indoors and smoking in your room is that it gets to your clothes. That's the bad part. It really fucks up the fabrics. And I know this from firsthand. Like the cigar smoking will affect your clothing quite a bit. Just like cigarette smoking would. It's not good for your clothing. But look at all the cigarette smokers and people that smoke on the regular out there, right? But yeah, it definitely eats away at the softness and the textures of your fabrics over time. I learned that from working in a humidor and wearing nice shirts. The smoking certainly got into the shirts and would just not necessarily discolor it, but just not, it won't have the same feel over time. You know, for a short filler of smoke, it's burning really well. Burning real well. Let me grab another beer. Other things I do to mitigate the smoke when smoking indoors, I open up a lot of windows. I also don't like the smell of stale smoke, whether it's weed, cigarettes, or even cigars. That stale smoke is pretty undesirable, but you mitigate it. And again, it's the clothing that suffers the most. But yeah, not a bad ash there. Didn't mean to drop it. It just sort of... Ooh. I don't know. Aljo and Cejudo might not go the way we expect it to, or at least the way that the Vegas expects it to. I think either guy could end up with a finish. You know, Aljo's going to have some advantages in terms of his speed and his height and his range. And then Cejudo is just going to have that head. He's going to have a different kind of movement and quickness to him. Let's see what kind of Cejudo we're going to see. I mean, what has it been like? Is this his first fight in 3 years? Has it been 3 years? It certainly has been at least 2 years. So what kind of Henry Cejudo are we going to see in this match? We know Aljo's going to be ready. Man, this beer is spectacular. Just really nice. Juicy with that little sour, little lemon, a little pine, and it's got a little kick to it. Still has that like hop taste nature to it. It's very, very good beer. A little slight hickoryness to it. A little more oil now, but not a ton of oil to the cigar. Not horrible. I mean, like I said, you need some of these cigars in your humidor. These are a must-have for what they are and the price point. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. For the price point, very good, in fact. Right? Just because I gave it a 6.5 doesn't mean that it's a bad cigar. It just doesn't have the complexity that I like in most of them to give it a premium rating. Right? It's just not a monotone cigar, but it just doesn't have the diversity that I prefer in my smoke. So, oh shit. The danger of wearing suede bands is you don't want to get beer, wine, or any liquids on them. Like even washing your hands, they could stain real easily, these suede bands, and they get dirty real easy. Some people like that, like it has that really cool vintage look. After they get a little dirty, they have this really cool look to them. My beige one that I had, for example, yesterday, got stained, got a little dirty. And I sort of like that dirty look. It has a little more ruggedness to it, a little more Western look to it. But with the colored ones, I don't know if that's going to be a good thing with the dirt. But for the price point of these bands, getting them in the $15 to $18 range, if they do get destroyed, or if it gets to that point where it's really, really dirty and I can't sort of clean them up, I'm certain I could use a cleaner to try to clean them up when necessary, if I'm going to need to do that. It's not like I'm breaking the bank or hurting it by just tossing it or not using that band again. Yeah, Joey, I jumped on Bidet. I just threw 50 at it. Joey's pick is Bidet, even money line. We know Joey's been pretty good, consistent. We'll see if he wins this one. He does pretty good on most of his picks here on About Better and historically with us. So let's see if that happens again. I'm backing him as well. And I think it's more of a fade on, because I'm not impressed with Bidet. Believe me, I am not. I'm more of betting against Jake Collier, just like I would. What is next week with that other fighter that they just keep giving Collier and who is this dude? Who's the other fighter that I saw? Oh, Parker Porter. And he's a favorite, Parker Porter. Like, they just keep giving these guys. They must like bet still fight for like 10 and 15 or something. Like, Dana just seems to love these guys because they're always willing to fight. They're always willing to fight. Think of how many times we've seen Jake Collier in the most recent. Let's look. I mean, the guy fights. I would argue he fights often, right? Like, Jake Collier is not afraid to get on in there. There are a few others like Jake Sherman. Sherman's the same way. Like, I don't see the dates. Let's see the dates here. Jake Collier. There we go. September 10th, 2022. April 30th, before that, 2022. 3 months earlier than that, or 4 months, January 15th, 2022. June 12th, 2021. December 5th. So the guy fights frequently. Like, he's not afraid to get on in there. Like, he's fighting, more recently, very recently. Previously in the past, he would like take one fight, or I guess he was injured, I believe, but he'd have 1 or 2 fights a year. But lately, I mean, just in 2022, he had 1, 2, 3 fights. And then he had 1 fight in 2021 in June. So like 6 months that. And then he waited 6 months. And then another 6. So that can't be correct there. Of recent, the guy has been very active. They're giving him a lot of fights. So the guy's not afraid to get in there with somebody. So I'm not necessarily betting. I'm more fading Jake Collier than I am betting Bidet here. I'm not impressed with Bidet at all. Can't believe that I even bet it. JoJo's saying Vieira versus Brundage is a hard call. It's a hard call if Brundage goes. I think like I said yesterday, I think Brundage is dumb enough to go in there and try to take Vieira down, and he's going to fall right into an armbar or right into some other submission, a Darce or something else, because Brundage is going to go in there, and what he should do is try to tire Vieira. He should do the formula's out there. Stay off of him. Don't let him get a takedown. Fight him from the outside or go inside, outside. Fight the takedowns. And I don't think Brundage has that ability. I think Brundage's fight IQ he's just going to go in there. He's gonna fight for a takedown. He's gonna close distance, fight for a takedown, and get submitted. That's what I think is gonna happen. But we'll see. We'll see if Brundage has learned something from his coaches and watching the previous fight that Vieira had with Chris Curtis, and takes a different methodology. Yeah, not a bad smoke at all. 6'5", still staying there in the middle. Not a lot of diversity of flavors. A good smoke, good stick to have, good utility cigar. Must own a few more of these. I'll see how they go over time, but I have to get some of these to have just when I'm going on the road. I'm like, oh man, like I don't have that kind of cigar right now where I could just like, most of the cigars that you've seen here and that I have in my collection are like premium to ultra premium cigars that I just can't, give to somebody easily. I can't just smoke them on the fly. They're not, like, oh, I'm going to take this, like even last week when we went to Kansas City, that Patron cigar I've had that for a few months, and it was excellent, excellent. It was well aged, and that was more of an $11 everyday, not even premium Patron cigar, but that's an $11 cigar, right? I'm smoking that outdoors in Kansas City. Ended up smoking really well, but I needed something more like this when I'm doing something just on the fly like that. This is just a good, again, a utility smoke to have for the friends, the buddies, for yourself. If you don't have a lot of time, or you're going to some place where you're not going to be able to like just sit down and really enjoy a cigar like you want to, you need a cigar like this. You need this price point, $3.45, still a very good smoke, decent aromas, decent flavor, but not over the top definitive, not having the flavor set or the flavor spectrum that you want in a cigar for taste. But real soft, subtle sweetness, not a ton of oils, but still really good, like really good on the nose, nice on the palate, but nothing overwhelming, nothing too strong, nothing that defined or refined. So it's got to be in that 6.5 range, maybe even 6.75. If we consider its price point in comparison to other cigars, you might have to give it another point. You might have to put it in that 7.5 range, because we're talking a $3.45 cigar. I wouldn't say that it smoked as well as some of the other ones that we had. Even in that $5 range, like La Aurora and some of the other ones that we had, and I don't recall those offhand, I think had better notes and had better array and better diversity in the smoke. But still, this is still $2 down from that price point, right? The La Aurora is at like $5.45. And that was one of the best cheap smokes that I did have that was in that $5 price range. When I had that challenge, I was trying to find a $5 cigar or the best $5 cigar in that range. And that was one of the better ones that I recall. This is still $2 less than that, right? So for what it is, like dollar for dollar or quarter for quarter, it's pretty darn good. Like I might have to give it that 7, right? Because of the value adds to the not the taste of it, but it doesn't hurt the pocketbook at all, right? Like that's a big thing. Not all of us can afford. I could barely afford these $10 cigars, $12 cigars. I mean, I have to find these everyday $5 factory smoke that I could smoke on different occasions. Not necessarily here with you guys, because I think the goal here is to review like better cigars and some of the better beers that we have. I'm really liking this Hidden Hand. I'm glad I chose the Hidden Hand here that they paired with Pipeworks. And they had another couple beers that I'm going to have from them coming up, because the packaging looked good. I like the name. They had a spring beer and another beer that looked really cool just on the can, and the description looked really nice. And and I know and I also saw that's why I got this one. If they're partnering with like Pipeworks Brewing, just like the Giants, Crushed by Giants yesterday, partnering with Hop Butcher, they're making good shit. Like Pipeworks and these good beer companies aren't just going to let some schmoes come in and partner with them on a beer. It's going to be some people and some guys or even women that really know how to like make beer and collaborate. Otherwise, it's not worth their time and money. They don't want to co-brand stuff. Yeah, Brunder's got some jiu-jitsu, but he don't have that Vieta type jiu-jitsu, especially in the first round. Vieta in the first round is very strong. His grip and his jiu-jitsu, and Brundage got jiu-jitsu. I know Brundage's got jiu-jitsu. He's got arm triangles. That's why he's going to wrestle. That's why he's going to try to wrestle Vieta. We're not at that stage anymore. Like he's no this guy versus when Frank Mir fought Nogueira. It's not that level. Like Vieira's at that Frank Mir Nogueira level, whereas Brundage I don't think is in jiu-jitsu. He's really good, very good. Brundage has got legit jiu-jitsu for sure. But look at who's he submitted and who he's competed against. Whereas Vieira, you know, I think it was like Panamanian champion. You know, he'd been in the ADCC a couple times. Like, I just think that the level, even in jiu-jitsu, there's levels to it. And I could be wrong. Who was the yeah, look at our guy last time out who got submitted. The other jiu-jitsu specialist who lost by what's this guy's name? Arnold Allen submitted, right? Like one of the best jiu-jitsu guys out there. But Arnold Allen's jiu-jitsu and UFC experience is a lot better than Brundage. Brundage has got, what, 2 fights in the UFC where he's lost both of them, right? Vieira is relatively new as well. You know, Brundage has got 4. I'm sorry. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think Vieira also has 4. Vieira has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. I mean, you could argue that Vieira's, I mean, he did lose the guillotine submission to Anthony Hernandez, but you could argue that, yeah, you know, I would say Vieira has a little bit more his he knocked out Tristan Gore. He lost to Older Zaishuk. I saw that coming. Yeah, I'm just not impressed with Cody Brundage. I think he's just going to be dumb enough to, like I keep on repeating myself, he's going to be dumb enough to get in there and throw himself into a Rodolfo Vieira submission somehow. And that's why I'm still going to bet that if it comes up, and hopefully it's a meaty number. Luckily, they're both at the end of the fight, and most of my bets, except for the first one, if we do well in Bidet now is listed as 1, 2, 3, the 4th fight in the matchup. Oh, and I did throw something in on, was it Cowan at plus money? I think it was only $10 right now on Cowan, Haley Cowan, and it was better than the plus 116 that it is right now. It was only like plus 120 early, so it's not that big of a difference. That number's been fluctuating a little bit, but I threw something on her just as a flyer, but I don't think I'm going to reinvest or up my investment in that. We'll see how things go. Again, I'm trying to stay in that $100 1 unit, or not even a unit, just chop up the units. Just say the unit is $10, you know, for this week. Trying to stay that less than 10 bets, you know, break up $100 is really the goal for the bank this week. I don't really want to invest too much going into this week and then the next week. I got vacation coming up. I got things I got to do, whether, you know, if I feel a certain way and I could up my money even more if I felt a certain way about any of these fights, which I necessarily don't, right? The only thing I feel super like, and that's against my boy Ole Zaishuk, is that Kai Barallo by submission. It's the only fight I really feel like a certain way about. Right? I like Julian Erosa on that money line, but not enough to chase it. I like my Moreno Rodriguez on the money line, but too rich. Same with Drew Dober. I'm on there. Frivola can play a spoiler. Osavar has already gone up minus 265. I think the key here is playing and picking the 4 fighters and the 2 fights I started this show with. Bilal Muhammad, Gilbert Burns, Aljamain Sterling Cejudo. Those are the money matches. Picking those and parlaying those, or just picking the money line on either fighter, is the key next week or the following, or May 6th. That's the key. That's the potential moneymaker, and I got to figure it out. Try to figure out a spot now before anybody moves a certain way. And I don't think it should or would. I think Aljo, Henry Cejudo should be about even money. And if anything, I think in time I might get better money on Burns. His number should drop. But people do not respect Bilal, remember the name. They don't respect the name Bilal Muhammad. So I'm confident Evelev. beating Bryce Mitchell. I'm confident in, or not really confident in Andrade versus Shannon Yan. I'm confident in Chaos Williams getting that win unless Rolando Bedoya comes out and knows some really good wrestling. I'm fairly confident in Drew Dober, and I'm confident in Marina Rodriguez, and confident in Kenny Njoku. But man, even parlaying all those people, which I'm not going to do, you know, maybe throw a lottery ticket, a $2 lottery ticket, but it isn't even worth the $2, right? There's still too much variance there. Like putting all those 5 gets you to plus 491. So if you throw even your $10 at it, you win $49. Kenny Njoku, Marina Rodriguez, Drew Dober, Chaos Williams, and most part Evalev. I think you're better off spending your $10 trying to win 20 and something else. Put it on bidet. You know, it's something that you're just gonna get. You don't have to worry about friggin' 5 fights. Just bet it on the one fight to try to double up to make 20. You know, to win $10. It definitely has gotten better in the middle here. It's definitely gotten a lot better, which is great, and it usually should. Like there's a little more oil to it, but not as deep and rich as I would like it. The draw has gotten better, and it has that nice little hickory finish, like a woody / hickory little slight sweetness there. Really nice. But again, not really the type of Maduro that I find ideal or that I would prefer. Maduros for me, I want that hard chocolate. I want deep, rich oils. I want it to taste like a super cacao, dark chocolate flavor. I want lots of oil that lathers my palate with a good full body and a good draw, with a nice sweetness to it. But really, that oil is what I'm looking at. Yeah, I stayed away thus far from NHL. I admittedly, it was a godsend that I only gambled a one event last week. Right, that Wells paid off for me was great. You know, I doubled up. I bet the whole 1 unit on that. That's basically the unit. That profit is what I'm betting this week. I'm not betting the $200. I'm betting that 1 unit. And I'm leaving it at that. I got to save money for my vacation. I got to buy a new surfboard. I got to pay bills. I got other shit I got to do. And yes, the gambling does and can help with that. But we're at the stage right now where I was bleeding incrementally, like just slow bleeding on a lot of my bets lately, a lot of my gambling, where I'm losing not enough to hurt me, but enough to get noticed. Right? Like if you're consistently losing, $100 a week, and then getting it back, and then losing another $200 this week, winning $100 the following week, or I haven't had the big wins to counter the losses for the year, and I'm definitely on the losing streak. So I just got to pull back a little bit and make certain that I'm not just throwing money away. I just have to, it's hard-earned money. It is extra money that I have. Real News saying he's still waiting on the Rangers and Oilers both tied at 2-2. Very nervous on the Rangers side after watching last night. Well, I don't know what to say, man. I would be nervous too. I didn't bet on the Rangers, but might now. The Devils are a fucking good team. It just might be time to get on the, look at the Rangers side as dog money. Let's take a look at that. Rangers are still favorite for Thursday at plus 105. But what are they on the money line? Oh, the money line, they're dogs. They're at plus 100 by dogs. And the over-under is 5.5. So that's interesting. They are dogs. You know, but take them at that dog money and let's see what the they don't have that futures here. Oh, there it is, futures. The futures bet here. Plus 750 for the Rangers to be the Eastern Conference winner. Right, that's just a conference winner. The Leafs, Boston Bruins are still plus 115. Jesus. And people really do like Boston, right? But I mean, deservedly so. They're like the best. 6'5" goalie. I'm surprised a big goalie, a tall goalie like that would be good. I mean, sure, they could make some good kicks and stuff, but when he's standing, he's got to have some big ass pads. He's got to have some massive pads to be that tall of a goalie and do well. It's got to be special. There's got to be a lot of openings. He's got to have really good knees and good with his leg pads, closing up that area underneath between his legs really well. To be that size and to do that well, Real News, it's got to be, that's a unique talent for being that big and doing that well. I couldn't imagine a goalie being that tall doing great at hockey. I mean, if they had in soccer, yes. Yeah, when he goes down his shoulders, he can cover the crossbar and his legs too, and that stick, yeah. But at the same time, if he can't close up between his legs, if he can't like close that distance with the pads, he's got to be super flexible and quick, right? Like I get it on the top side, but on the bottom side, it's got to be hard. But yeah, you're right. Like, you know, having his hands out and being able to get to the puck, like closing out the top half. That's not the part that I'm as worried about. It's actually the bottom part where his legs are. You would think that good scorers would be able to capitalize on him not being able to close up and get his knees to the ground. That's where I would expect like there would be problems. So I don't know what Brian thinks of that, but again, I'm not a hockey pro. I'm not even a coach. I'm just speculating on something that I don't know much about, but I would have thought that being that tall would be at a disadvantage as a hockey player, period, right? I wouldn't say it's a small man's game, but like soccer and like baseball, hockey is an area where quickness, a small, quick guy, you know, even in football and in rugby, like certain people with the speed kills. If you can get some speed, and if he's that size with speed as a goalie, man, maybe he's really good. Again, I don't know. I just am concerned now. I would agree with you, but with my Rangers pick, that now that they're an underdog, and where are the Oilers? Your Oilers, you said that you had already future bet them. Where are they at? NHL. Not futures, but let's see. Oh, where's that at? I don't know, my friend. Oilers at minus 235. I might have to take those Kings at that plus 185. I think Brian will be taking them. You know, I'd be looking at the Kings at that plus 185 just on the money line Tuesday. Are they're 2-2? So, I love my Canadian teams, but I think people like Brian's correct. Brian's been on the Kings, and maybe this is a time to. Real News saying, "Don't doubt McDavid and the Oilers. You've been warned." I would say, hey, don't distrust Brian, and people are overlooking the Kings here, big time, right? Big time. My plus 185 is pretty decent. Pretty decent meat there. The Islanders and the Panthers are about to play, aren't they? Looks like they're 11 minutes to game time or something like that. What a series the Wild and the Dallas Stars have been. That's almost even money. Man, nobody's giving the Panthers a chance. And the Kraken are slight dogs against the Avalanche. The Kraken are another team that have been surprising people, and the Leafs are plus 130 favorite. I love my Leafs, man. Can they choke? Man, the Rangers are now plus 100, and the Jets are plus 143 against the Golden Knights. Those fucking Golden Knights. Man, I wanted Winnipeg to win so bad, but it's just more pride more than anything. The Canadian teams are, man, I don't know, brother, other than the Leafs. I mean, just, is it possible they could all end up out of the tournament after in the first round? Right? It's Toronto Maple Leafs, the Oilers, and the Winnipeg Jets. It's going to be a good night of hockey, it looks like. Looks like a good night of hockey. Leafs are up 3-1. Last night was not looking good, but the Leafs came back from a 4-1 in the third and won in overtime. Yeah, man, but they're the favorites, but not by a ton. And it's the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa Bay is fucking really good. All these teams are really good. The Golden Knights were decent last season. Rangers, Devils. The Rangers had the hardest time. If they could just get past the Devils, I think that something can happen for them. But it's going to be a hard path for all of these teams. I think all of these teams are really good. Carolina, the Islanders, the Wild, and Dallas. That's a crazy-ass series. Boston's doing really well. Kraken against Avalanche. Nobody expected the Kraken to take a couple games, right? Take a game or two from Colorado. Really good hockey teams right now. Just shooting for it. I'm going to stay away. Brian hasn't given me the light on anything. I'd like to grab the Rangers at that plus 100. I'd like that, but the Devils are so fucking good. Could go, and the over-under is 5.5, and they'll give you a plus 1.5 for the Rangers at minus 265. And if you give a goal and a half away to the Devils, you get plus 210. I wouldn't do that. I would like do something different. That's interesting. The band on this doesn't have a seam to take it off on. Or does it? No, it doesn't. That's not good. Don't like that. I'm surprised your estate did that. We can fix that. We can fix it. Me make fix. Nice little knives. Scissors here. Back when I smoked weed, these are the best scissors to cut up the weed. These Friskas. They're also good for cooking and pruning your herbs. This is what I use when I'm cutting up my basil, my mint, my tarragon, my rosemary. I use this right here to cut them up. So I have a pair of these in the kitchen as well. But I had a pair here to use for the marijuana when I was able to smoke it, but I don't smoke any more marijuana. Come and drug test me, work. I'll be fine. Yeah, I'll see if I have time to watch the games. We'll see. The problem with me watching the games is that I might get tempted to bet the games, right? It's like one of those things like, oh, I've been doing well not betting them. I want to stick to what I know we'll see if Brian has a bet. I'm going to ask him what a bet is. And Brian, he's not in right now. He was here earlier. But Brian, what's your bet for tonight? Should I back the Rangers? Should I throw something there to try to make some more money for this weekend? But, I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm just like more as a fan, and I'm a new fan. So it's like, it's cool. It's cool. I'm just going to lay low on the hockey betting. There's enough risk on fucking bidet. I can't believe I'm betting bidet, but it is what it is. Guys, I mean, I still can't believe it. I hate betting mediocre fighters, but sometimes we have to bet to win, right? We're not betting knowledge. We're not betting skills. We're just betting against the number, betting against the fighter, and betting that person makes us a profit. I shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't matter to me, but I hate putting money on low-level MMA fighters. It's something that not a big fan of. Not a big fan of doing. Like, that's why I'm great. Was happy we started this discussion about the 4 high-level MMA fighters coming up next week on the 6th. Like, really high-level MMA we're going to see, and I'm comfortable there. If I lose my money, I'm cool with it, right? I'm cool with that. It's just those bets, like, throwing money at Chaos Williams by TKO against Bedoya Rolando, and Rolando comes out, submits him, takes him down and submits him or something, right? Like, I'm just not into biting on these low-level matches, right? I just don't like, or losing money on that. Like Cody Durden, Charles Johnson. I threw money on Cody. I don't think that after watching Johnson that last bout, I was high on Johnson and I lost. I lost my money. Very disappointing. I won money on Durden, right? Just don't like betting low-level fights. Like, it's just not. I'd like to see the high-level MMA and then have something wagered and risking on it. Just my preference. It may sound dumb to people. People don't care. Just get the money, pick the money, pick the fights. With low level, you never know what can happen. Yeah, people are so high. The bookies are so high on the Bruins right now. It's absurd. I know that everyone's thinking them as the favorite, but come on. To win the cup, they are plus 210 to win it all. Like, plus 210 is not. The Avalanche are plus 650. The Leafs are plus 650. The Oilers are plus 900. The Knights at plus 1,000. Hurricanes at plus 1,000. The Rangers at plus 1,400. Stars 1,500. Devils plus 1,600, which is interesting that the Devils are that. And yet the Devils are favored to win tonight. Minnesota Wild plus 3,000. LA Kings plus 4,000. The Kraken are plus 6,000. Tampa Bay plus 12,500. Islanders plus 20,000. The Panthers 2,500. The Jets are also at 2,500. Yeah, I unfortunately in MMA, I don't do enough of futures betting, and it's a mistake. It's a mistake, for example, where John Jones was a dog against Cyril Gane at one point. He was a plus 150 underdog against Cyril Gane, and I didn't jump on it. That was like one of the biggest non-plays of my life that I didn't jump on him at that time. Ridiculous. Rivers only has after May 6th, they only have Nunez, Pena, and Emmett Topuria. Where Topuria should not be minus 315 against Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett has that stopping power to finish Topuria. Topuria leaves his chin out there, Emmett could catch him in the first round and half, 2 rounds, and he could go the full 5, right? I don't know if they made that into a 5-round fight. I think Nunes has a lot on her plate, but she's corrected that. I don't know how much fight Amanda Nunes has left in her career. I don't know her well enough. Don't follow the Instagram. They're having another kid, right? Let me go grab another beer. Ooh. Getting a little chilly in here. Again, smelling of the smoke. Cologne helps. Country candle, osium, air purifier. Plenty of things if you're a smoker to mitigate the smell of smoke in your home. Leaving your door open while you take a shit and the fucking smell of shit fucking helps doing it too. Fart smell, farting. Scented candles, oils, infused oils, all really help. Some mint, something else like that also helps. I have to do that myself. I don't like the smell here in my room of smoke myself all the time, especially older smoke. It is rather disconcerting, not disconcerting, but just not nice, you know, especially with the clothing. So I make sure to close off my closet doors. Try not to have, although I got some shirts and shit over there in the back. But I have nice cologne, wear cologne, fucking shower, put that shit on, and I only smoke like what? What do we smoke a cigar? Like, we're only smoking a cigar twice a week, once a week here. It's not a big deal, guys, when it's that few of cigars. I feel sorry for you people that smoke cigarettes every day. And the weed, I used to smoke weed every day, and I didn't realize that I smell like weed all the time too. I don't necessarily feel sorry for you, but it does smell. People can smell it. This cigar now, great draw, is smoked really well. Not a ton of flavor. It has a good finish. Like I mentioned, that love the little soft hickory sweetness to it. Lots of wood. Definite must buy. Like, I need to buy a handful of these. I'm like, oh, give me 10 of those. You know, like, spend the $35, $40 to have these as a utility cigar. So, like I mentioned, like when you're fishing, when you're golfing, when you have your drunk friends over at the campfire, you know, you don't want them, you know, they're drunk already. You don't want to give them one of your $10, $15 cigars. You bring one of these up for them. That's what they're for, right? Or yourself. You don't have a lot of time. You know, you're going to short smoke it. You're not going to finish it, right? You got it less than an hour. You just want to get that nicotine fix. You want to get that little flavor fix with the beer in before you go to pregame, before you go to a concert or something like that. Or in that sense where you're with people and then they're going to say, hey, it's time to judge that cigar. Like, you're getting in before a game. You know, you smoked it rather quickly, or you're outside. You got a half hour to kill. You could light up one of these. if you're only halfway through it, you throw it away, you're not fucking going to care, right? It's not going to be a big deal, right? You're at the football game, you're at a baseball game, a hockey game, you're outside the stadium, you got a half hour before the game starts, you've had a beer already, you want to smoke a cigar just before you get on in. You could smoke this thing, you could stay there for like that half hour, 30 minutes, you paid $3.45 for it, you could toss it out. You're not going to complain. Yeah, it's a waste, but it's not a big waste. It's not like the $12 cigar that you smoke for a half hour. You don't want to do that. You know, you want, when you have a cigar like those cigars, you want to be able to smoke them all the way through, enjoy them, nurture them, really just take your time with them. Whereas this thing, you could smoke it and chuck it, and you're not going to have to worry too much. It's still cheaper than a pack of cigarettes, right? And in fact, they sell loose squares for as much as this cigar here. So it's like, for the price of like 4 cigarettes, you could smoke the cigar. You know what I mean? Like, that's easy money, and it's good. So by value, it's a 7. Like, you need these cigars. These factory smokes are very smart. They are a value. They are a value to buy. It is a must buy. They are a must buy for its utility, and it does have still some good flavor. They could still marry and complement other cigars. If you wanted to experiment and do like brush some brandy on them, make them flavored in some way, put a liqueur on them, this is the type of cigar that you would buy to do that, right? If you wanted to alter them, dip them in cognac, and then age them away from everything else. If you do this, leave them away from all your humidor, from all your other cigars. You store them separately. If you wanted to experiment on flavors, you could do that with this cigar. Like, if you wanted to put it in, like I mentioned, hickory. Like, if you wanted to like put some hickory chips or some applewood chips into like a plastic container with 1 or 2 of these cigars, or 3 of them, to see how that might work for you, how it might develop, go for it. Like, this is the type of cigar, like, for the price point that you could experiment with, right? Like, with watches, I have a watch that I got from my brother that I'm going to start to dismantle myself and play watchmaker, and he gave it to me for free. Even though it's like a $300, $400 watch, I got it for free. I'm going to be able to, I got it for free. So if I fuck it all up, even though it has good value, I'm going to not regret it. And that's what this cigar is. It's like a cigar that you could literally throw away and not feel pain financially or anything else with it. So I'd strongly encourage, highly recommend buying this cigar. Like, I'm speaking to myself here when I'm saying this. I need to listen to myself, that this is a must buy, because it still has good flavors, not super rich, but good flavor. It smokes really well. It's well constructed. It's from Drew Estates. It's a good cigar company, and it's just meets that need, meets that niche that you have to have this cigar. You put it at the top of your humidor. It's a top level humidor, or you put it separate from your other cigars, or even on the top level where you could still gain some other flavors from it. You could experiment with it. Out of all the cigars I've reviewed, here's another good thing. If you're going to buy your first cigar, this is not a bad first cigar, because it's not going to break your budget. For the same reason, not going to break your budget. If you decide you don't like it, that it doesn't have to. You may not have already the palate to know what's better. It's going to be your first one. You don't go through it. You don't get it through it all. No problem. Next time you're with your friend that knows cigars, and you're like, oh man, I tried the factory cigars, and they're going to be, okay, you smoked that? All right, well, we're sitting down, we're going to have some cognac together, we're going to have some whiskey or some bourbon together. They're like, okay, that was your first experience with that one. Let me turn you onto this one. Check this cigar out. Or go look at any of the other cigars that we've had on our Sip and Smokes, on our presentations here, and all of them. I mean, other than that one mint, which I don't think that we even smoked. Was it the Macanudo mint? I forget which one that was. all of them have been great cigars. There hasn't been a bad cigar. And there was only one beer with the Weird Uncle, right? The Weird Uncle by Illuminated. It's not a bad beer. It just wasn't my taste. Like too sour, too candy, more like that one would taste like cotton candy. Almost tasted like, what's that drink from the Paul brothers? It had that like just too much bubblegum fake flavor, which I just don't enjoy. But if you're the type that you want like cognac on the cigar, you could buy one made, or you can make your own. Grab a brush, grab some cognac or some sherry, and lather this thing and age it. Put it into an area with some cedar. Like just use a cedar, or buy an old box from Binny's. They sell those old used boxes for like $2. You use those as your like little humidor for temporary for a few cigars that you might have lathered in your favorite alcohol, your brandy, or some other kind of flavoring if you wanted to do that, and just sit on it for a few months. But yeah, these are a must-have, a must-buy, for sure. The beer, 8.5 all day. Almost 9 club. I think it should be 9 club. Like the only reason it doesn't have 9 club with me is that it has that little more lemon and that little sour, which is not my particular taste, but it's harder for me to drink. I like high drinkability. I want to be able to guzzle this shit. I want to be able to like, I'm just that type of person. But it doesn't have that high drinkability for me. Very drinkable, but not that rapid drinkability. It needs to be savored. It needs to be sipped a little bit more. I should give it more respect and take my time with it rather than wanting to guzzle it like I do most of my alcohol and beer. But we're going to give next week, we're going to give our impression of the EP Carrillo, other Maduro. That's more premium, right? This was $3.45, guys. $3.45 for the Drew Estates factory smokes. And next week is the EP Carrillo Pledge Maduro. And we'll go through that cigar and we'll see how that is. And we'll do a comparison based on flavors. And then we have to weigh in the price there, right? Is that Maduro that much better being at like $13 for a cigar? We're talking like 300 times more of a price, right? Almost 400 times, but 300 times more of a price than this cigar here. And is it that worth it, right? It's got to be. This cigar here, this factory smokes, can win, I think, our challenge if the other cigar just doesn't have the complexity, doesn't have the diversity, it falls short on a lot of levels. Then this cigar, this $3 cigar, $3.45, might be a better buy than that $13 cigar. Like if it doesn't make that much more of a difference, but we're going to see. I'll give you my honest assessment of it. Right, we'll give you my honest assessment of it, but this cigar could end up winning the challenge, right? The challenge is got to be level to price and flavors, right? It's got to be evened out, and the price definitely is important, right? If like this unicorns beer, the unicorns don't believe in you either. If it sells for $16 a 4-pack, if it didn't outclass a fucking Miller High Life, which it does, blows it out of the water, then what's the point of buying it, right? Like there is no comparison there. Like there is no comparison between a cheap beer and this premium handcrafted microbrew. There's no comparison. Light beer from Miller versus this, your Bud Light versus this, that has no chance. Even some mid-level Lagunitas, other, like a lot of big commercial used to be micro beer have no chance against this beer. This is far more complex, better flavors, just a better beer for the money. It's worth the $16, right? And we're hoping to see if that $13 cigar is worth the money compared to this $3.45 cigar. It's getting a little harsher. Not a lot of oils, a little more, actually no, a little more though. Not as much as I would like at this point. More often than not, a Maduro at this point would be super chocolatey, super oil laden, very rich, almost like a chocolate cake. This one's like a light mousse. It's almost like a slight Nutella, which isn't bad. Again, it isn't bad. It just isn't what I want in a Maduro. It isn't typical for me. And it isn't the flavor set that I enjoy and that I would expect out of a high quality Maduro. But again, all things being said, we're going to give it a 7. Like, it is a good smoke for the money. It's not one of the better cigars that we've had. It's certainly on the lower tier of it, but for the price point, it beats out of some of those other $5 ones. I don't recall. Like, we'd have to see. Not a lot of comments. I appreciate all the subscribers. The subscription is up. Views are up. Participation is the same, but very happy with it, guys. We're still going to continue to pump out this type of content, other type of content. I'm content with it in the sense that hopefully people like find this educational, but I don't think my audience is like big smokers. I haven't tracked into the beer drinkers, and you guys, if you guys drink, you're not drinking like the stuff that I drink, which I wish you guys would. Sort of the whole point of doing this is like, hey, you go back and you've watched this and you've had that cigar, and you go back to the video I made on that cigar and you say, oh, I completely disagree with you. I taste this, I taste that. Same with the beer. Like, you'd be like, you're way off, man. Or I agree with you. Or that was a good beer. Thank you for recommending it. Thank you for putting out what you put out with it. That's what I hope to accomplish now, sort of with what I'm doing with the content in the channel, is more of, yes, we're going to talk about gambling. We're going to talk about MMA, but in conjunction with that, or on top of that, we have a discussion on some cigars and alcohol, even the watches, which the watches are going to stop a little bit. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Leave something in the comment, which nobody does, but that's okay. But yeah, I'm content with it because I know that despite the lack of viewership, that I'm creating something that I want to create, that I'm comfortable creating, that I'm having fun creating. And who doesn't want to fucking smoke cigars and drink beer? Like, come on, guys. I love doing this shit. I love MMA. So it's like all the three things that I like both in my life most, other than some of the activities that I do. Like, I love skateboarding, I love surfing, I love snowboarding, I love the beach, and I could talk about things like that as well. But being able to do this is really enjoyable. It's just fun, man. It's just like, I'm doing what I'd be doing anyways, but then I get to talk to you guys about MMA, which is fun, which is really cool. I could just talk about it. And the more people that we get to join us, the more people who talk about it, the more interesting, or the more I'm able to play off of that. But I'm stoked for everybody that does participate. Real News, as always, thank you so much. You guys that knows, if you made it this far, you are about better. You guys are fantastic. Having fun with this. Let's win some money this weekend. I don't think it's important to go too strong. I think We need to be very, very cautious. When he was saying he doesn't smoke cigars or drink, but he can listen. Yeah, I appreciate that, brother. Yeah. I think that just this week is and next week is, if you could find, I think there are combinations, like the lines here on certain fights aren't horrible that you can parlay to make some money, but I'm not super strong. I just am not strong both these weeks coming up on any bets, right? I'm not like willing to throw 2 units or $200 on a bet or 150 on anything. I'm not super, super confident. If that Burns line drops, if I get Burns closer to even money, which I think we might have had earlier, which I should have jumped on, the only reason I can't jump on Henry Cejudo right now, that minus 117 mark, and I almost want to avoid it, is the longevity. Ring rust is, and Aljo's been active. He's got an incredible training partner, right? Like, the dude's beating the best, training with the best, and then so is Cejudo. But that time off is just leading me away from that. And then I don't see like the big dog that's going to impress me to jump on, right? Or the big favorite or semi-favorite where I could just jump on somebody for some good money. Up and down the next 2 weeks, there isn't that dog that is at plus 200 or plus 160 or plus 160 or plus whatever that I'm going to chase. Right. So I think there's some good parlays to be had out there. I'm not going to, I made one already. And next week we'll make another one when we review the other cigar that we have. But I think this is a entertainment 2 weeks. Like, it's just I'm going to slow down myself. I'm slowing down on what it is that I'm gambling on. Primarily because I need to save money, and I've been losing, guys. I've been losing. And you guys have my picks from on this event. I think you've got an idea of where I'm at the upcoming event with Burns and Cejudo and Bilal and Aljo. But I'm not going strong on there, and hopefully you glean a little something from that particular or those particular matches when we discuss them. But I think these are a couple weeks where we're recuperating. We're going to sit back. We're going to not go as strong as we have, in the previous weeks. Save some of that bank it for another event where we have parity, where we have things that are off, when we spot a line or someone that is just way off or something that is way off, and then we attack it. I just don't see that this week at all. I haven't seen the props for, as I mentioned, I continue to mention Rodolfo and Barolo, and we'll have to look at those. Hopefully we get some meat on them. Otherwise, I'm going to pass on them, guys. I'm going to pass if Kai Bralo is like plus 110 by submission and Vieira Rodolfo is like plus 140, 160, I'm going to pass. If it's not plus 200 or above, I'm going to pass on both those props. There's got to be some meat on the bone for me to attack those and to get at them. Otherwise, I'm not going to climb the ladder. I'm not trying to climb a ladder here on these things. I already know what I've been winning and losing. So, wins. Real News saying win over active UFC fighter stands out to me for Aljo and activity as well for being a career, welterweight or whatever, career BW, I don't know what he means, but yeah, I mean, just Aljo's being active against top guys, against like the top, right? Cejudo he beat out, DJ, and he's training with DJ, but Aljo has been with the top of the top. Like, I'd be interested to see if Cejudo how he would do against Sandhagen. I think Sandhagen will mop the floor with him. Bantamweight. Okay, bantamweight. I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. I think so. I think Sanhagen would wipe the floor with Cejudo, right? And Aljo knew it. That's why he jumped to that backpack. He was like, I ain't standing with this fool. I love seeing that. I don't know why BJJ practitioners are so hesitant to jump the guard or hesitant to close distance. I know that it's hard. I understand it. At this level, I get it. But so many jiu-jitsu guys, you see them in jiu-jitsu tournaments do it. They fucking crawl up to people, grab their ankle, fucking next, they're on the dude's back or whatever. And I don't understand what in UFC with the UFC jiu-jitsu, and that's my ignorance of it. The difference between MMA jiu-jitsu and jiu-jitsu is that different. Like, you just can't crawl up to somebody. You just can't jump and backpack them. You just can't, try for a bad. Actually, a lot of them just don't have the wrestling, but a lot of them do. So, yeah, it's just hard to back certain people here. I'm liking that Aljo at that near plus money. Hopefully that increases and Gilbert Burns becomes a less of a favorite. I don't know if that happens, but I'm leaning on those two, although I love me Henry Cejudo. His fight awareness, his ability to make adjustments in the ring and before the time, his game planning is almost second to none. His awareness, his intelligence. That's why I like Dominic Cruz. I'm a big Dominic Cruz fan. He didn't make some adjustments last time. He got figured out, but he's gotten older. Henry Cejudo, love seeing him training with DJ. Like, fuck, man. But we seen Dvalishvili. He's no joke either, right? Dvalishvili is like a legitimate contender, and he's fresher. But we're going to see. I think if it could drop back to more closer to even money, we're going to see if I go a certain way. I'll let you guys know. Yeah, we got to give it a solid 7. Still smoking good at this time. Has a little bitterness to it at a point. It's not smoking hot, though. Still burning evenly. For a fucking $3.45 cigar, fucking must buy. I would say if you're a beginner, you need a first cigar where you're not going to break the bank, and you're not going to have the problem is you're not going to have that real connoisseur's experience with it. But you're going to have a good smoke. It's not going to break the bank. It may be the Connecticut Shade version of this, because they make a Connecticut Shade. They make a milder cigar than this one, and this one isn't even that mild. For me, this is not mild. It's mild, but for you guys, for a novice, somebody a beginner, this is going to be a little heavier. But get the Connecticut Shade version of this, which they have, and I'm going to bring next time. I'll have it as well. That's the cigar to have, although I prefer the Maduro, because I prefer that Habano, the richer, the more full-bodied experience over that light and creamy, just too light thing. But both are important. Get the Connecticut Shade version of this, the factory smokes from Drew Estates, and get the Maduro as well. Just stack a few of them on top of your humidor. As I keep on emphasizing, because I do need these throwaway smokes. I need these smokes for myself when I'm in a rush, in a context where I'm not able to like really sit down and enjoy it, and a context where, like I said, I might be in that playing bags with the buddies out in the alley. Everybody's already drinking a bunch. People are asking me for cigars because I'm the cigar guy. I'm not going to give them my fucking $10, $15 smokes. I got to have some of these over there. Like, okay, here, without a hesitation. I'm like, here you go. You know what I mean? I got to have those. Hate to sound like that, but I got to have them. And people that smoke cigars know what I'm saying. You're the cigar guy and your crew guys. People were to try to grab shit from your humidor. Get the hell out of there. You're going to be like, get the fuck out of there. No, they'd be grabbing your fucking goddamn $30 or $100 cigars and fucking putting their dirty ass paws on that shit in your fucking humidor. Hands in the cookie jar, literally. Get their fucking hands out of the cookie jar. Those are good ass cookies. You know, don't you put your hands in there. I'll bring you something. And those are on the top. That way, if they're on the top, they can't be fucking with anything down below. They can only grab these, right? These are the ones they're going to grab first. And you'd be like, okay. You don't have to get as mad as I just was. You'd be like, yeah, that's a good cigar for you. That's good. Yeah, it's good. And it is good, right? And they could grab those. So it's a good idea to line the top of your humidor with some smokes like these factory smokes, the Connecticut ones and the Maduros, so that when the boys, you know, like I said, we've had our drinks already, we've been out already all night, or we're going to a game, they're like, hey, or we're going to golf course, and they're like, hey, let me get a cigar for the golf course. Come on, man, I know you're the cigar guy. These are what they get, right? It's still going to be good. You could smoke it with them, and you could be, hey, really good, huh? You know, like, yeah, these are excellent. Is this Cuban? You know, they're not going to know the difference. So you got to have these. And I know I'm repeating myself, but highly recommended. Factory smokes, Drew Estates. We're going to see next week how it compares to the other Maduro, but not bad. Getting a little bitter towards the end here. More full flavor, but most of the beginner smokers aren't going to get to this point. A lot more oil at this point with a little pepperiness now, which I enjoy, which I love, actually. I really love that. Would like it to still be smooth and sweet, but I don't mind it with a little pepperiness now, because now I feel like there's more flavor. So I'm still with it. Still with the 7 because it went up from a 6.5 because of the value. So he added a 0.5 because of the price point. Yeah. A lot harsher now. A little more oil, but more pepperiness. A novice wouldn't smoke it this long, and I don't think they would like the flavor of it. I like it. Because it has a more robust texture now, as well as a more robust flavor on the start, and now it like has a little bit on the start, middle, and finish. It's smoking very good at the end here. For an inexpensive cigar, very good. My rating's still going to remain the same. It has a little bit more of that harshness at the back of the throat, a little pepperiness to it. I do have a stronger lung and stronger draw than most people, most smokers. I smoke everything fast and hard. I do. You hand me a joint back in the day, in one puff, that thing could be it'd be done in half. Even a bowl, forget it. Bong, you'd have to make sure that it was like specially made for me. Remember, I'm a surfer, swimmer, first, if anything. Got the lungs. Still got lungs. Talk all this shit all this fucking time. Yeah, good luck, brother. I'm on the Kings, man. I'm on the Kings, bro. For that plus money, I'm have to go against my Oilers. If there is a Canadian team that I like the least, there are two teams. Here, real news. One of them is the Oilers. The other one's the Calgary Flames. Right? Those are the two Canadian teams I just don't like as much. You know, I like the Ottawa Senators, even though they're not in it. I'm a Canucks fan, obviously. living in Vancouver for years. Fan of the Winnipeg Jets. Love my Maple Leafs. So it's just pure pride and preference. It's not really who the team. I really don't know, but I hope your bet pays off. Unless I bet the Kings after we talk here, and I'm going to talk to Brian and see if I bet the Kings. I doubt that I will, but if I throw money on them, then I'm going to wish your Oilers lose. But I think we're going to be fine here. I think we're going to do okay, and hopefully they win for you, man. We'll see. I don't think I'm going to bet. Like I said, I'm not confident. I'm not betting shit that I'm not confident on anymore. I'm just not into that as much anymore. I just can't. I've been bleeding, man. Guys, I've been bleeding. Go back, watch my videos. I've mentioned this numerous times. I'd have 45 bets an event, maybe 50, down to 30, down to 25, down to 12. And now I'm under 10. I like that. I'm improving in my betting strategy, that just from not risking the amount of money that I would bankroll in an event. Yeah, that's good. Bankroll management, guys. These guys don't emphasize it enough or talk about it as much because they lie. Most cappers lie about what their bankroll is, even if they put it on their Instagram. You never know. They say they could show you whatever. Some guys don't. I don't know who those people are. I know the people I watch seem realistic. I believe them. You guys watch them too. But right now I have to pull back a little bit, bet within my means. Always bet within your means. The objective is to make money. The objective is to use that money for other things, take the profits, make more profits, or buy beer and buy fucking cigars. These ain't cheap. I mentioned the prices to you of everything. Like the past 2 nights, like just in the past two events, we've had like $80 worth of product here. I don't get paid by any of the cigar companies. I pay for it out of pocket. Same with the beer companies. None of it's donated, which I would love to. I'd love to someday like have a cigar company and a beer company send me a fucking 4-pack or stop by and like send me a fucking couple cigars and review their cigars. I'd do it. No problem. Like, yeah, I'll review your shit. I'm going to tell you the real shit. If your cigar was like this and you expect it to be a $12 cigar, I'm going to tell you. Man, I'm telling you, them Kings, man, don't underestimate them Kings, man. Like I said, I'm not a fan of the Oilers. I want our Canadian hockey teams to be there. They got a hard path ahead of them. All the Canadian teams, including Toronto, as good as they are, they're like Brian said, they're choke artists. They rarely make it out of the first round. They just don't do well. I hope that they do well. I really wish that Edmonton wins this, so that we have other, at least maybe 2 Canadian teams going into the next round. But I'm not going to bet it. I'm not going to bet it. Real News, best of luck on your bets. I'm certain that it's going to work out. We definitely great you putting it in the chat. Guys, listen to Real News, man. The guy knows MMA and he knows hockey. So, he knows his shit. He might be onto something there. I know winning. Yeah, you're right, Real News. Winning in Canada is hard. And not except Vancouver. Real News, I don't think you've ever been to a game in Vancouver. It was the worst sporting experience of my life going to Vancouver, Canada, and watching the Canucks. Because I'm the loudest fan of anyone. I've gotten kicked out of baseball games for heckling baseball players. I'm so bad. I've gotten kicked out of football games for heckling football players. And that says something. That is saying something. Football and baseball. I've yelled and heckled players to the point where they point at me, they point in that direction, that guy. And at the UFC event, Brian and Joey and all these guys could attest to that. You can't hear me on the broadcast, but I think I was so close they had to, like, you know, I was rooting so much for Guida and so much for these fighters that you know, like, the fighters heard me, but they had to definitely, the producers like, who's this voice? Get his voice out of there. I am loud at a live event. I am loud. You will hear me. I go to a live event. I'm the loudest person in the stadium. You can hear me. You will hear me, and you can hear me. So in Vancouver, I wanted to leave right away. You can't even stand up there. You can't even yell. Like, I started doing my thing right away, and they're like, one of the ushers came to me and like, oh, you got to sit down and you got to be quiet. This is your first warning. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? First warning? You know, like, I do not hold back. I'm going to yell. And he says, it's hilarious, man. I believe from seeing the UFC weigh-in you put up. Yeah, I'm the loudest guy in the room. I don't even recall, like, how crazy. I wasn't even drunk at the weigh-ins. Imagine me drunk at the fucking event. Like, I am loud. I am loud. I'm going to get loud. I'm going to be heard. I was louder than the coaches. I think the fighters heard me louder than the coaches during the main event and the event. You could hear me the most. I mean, I met Michael Bisping, and he had to tell other people to shut up so he could hear me, even though I was loud because I lost my voice at that point. And the new funny thing going forth is I kept yelling at Michael Bisping, revenge is sweet. Revenge is sweet. And nobody really got it. And then he got it, and he was very happy. And I have a photo on my Facebook with Michael Bisping once he realized, like, what I was saying and what I was yelling to him. But I was yelling for, like, Guida to, like, get in the phone booth. I was yelling, my girl Jillian Robinson, for that sub. I knew that. I was yelling at her. She pointed at me in the weigh-ins, and she pointed at me in the fight. I know I was heard, right? So I'm that dude. I've been kicked out of. I was very surprised, and I'm happy that Dana nor none of the people came up to me and, like, shut me up. Like, there were people around me that didn't like me being around them because I was yelling. They're like thinking they can't hear you. Nobody can hear you. I'm like, I didn't really care. I'm going to do me. And I know they heard me. I know everybody heard me. And the production company was probably like, who the fuck is that voice? Shut that. They had to, like, definitely put something to cloud me out because I would have been heard on the broadcast. And I watched the broadcast, and I can't believe that I wasn't heard or seen because I was definitely the loudest man in the room, which is usually the dumbest man in the room, whatever. I don't give a shit. When I'm at an event, I'm cheering for my fighter. I'm cheering for somebody. I'm going to cheer. I'm a fan. I love doing that. And if you're a baseball player, you can't take it. I understand what the baseball player. I didn't say anything like racist or any. I would, like, make fun of them in a certain way that they would just not like. And in the football games, same thing. Like, I got kicked out from a Raiders Kansas City Chiefs game back in the day, which is like saying something. You know, they were just saying I was just too active. I was just too up. You know, I was, like, just too active. And they accused me of potentially inciting a riot is what they accused me of. And they kicked me out. It was a Raiders Chief game at a Raiders game. I was yelling so much. They're like, you're gone. It's not too bad. I was just happy that Dana didn't, like, send somebody over, like, hey, quiet him down. Or if they would, I would, like, Uncle Dana, like, I'm going to see him again. I'm going to see all these guys again. And they tell me, like, hey, calm down. I'm going to calm down. I'm going to listen to the boss. Don't cross the boss. If Dana wants you, don't cross the boss. These guys tell me, Bisping, all these people, whatever, hey, calm yourself down, chill out, enjoy the fights, lower your voice. I'm there. I'm going to lower your voice. Nobody said it to me, so I just still did my thing. They definitely clouded my voice, believe me. Any concert, you'll hear me. Concert, any event, I want to be heard, you're going to hear me. That's just me. You got a union someplace, you got an argument someplace, somebody that's opinionated, whether loud or not, even if my opinions matter. I still always back my shit up too. What I was yelling at the Bisping, even though it sounded crazy. It was like, revenge is sweet. I was yelling, revenge is sweet. You know? He figured it out. He didn't know at first what the fuck I was talking about. He was like, oh. And he laughed. He remembered that, you know, when he won. Some say revenge is sweet. I think it's sweeter. As he was drinking a beer. Remember that at the post-press conference? And he remembered it and he laughed. Right? I remember things like that when I need to remember, or I'm a certain way. And I'm that way with my fighter. If the fighter is not doing what I think is best in their interest, just like I'm watching the TV, I'm different when I'm watching it on TV than I'm at the fans. When I'm at the stadium, I think we're allowed to yell and do what we want to do. Yeah, you know, as long as we're not degrading the fighters, as long as we're not saying things that are offensive to people, you should be able to yell what you want to do. If you're giving instructions, I think you should be able to go on. It could have interfered with the coaching, but I think I was fucking giving better advice than some of these coaches. You know, Guida's coaches were like not giving advice. Like they were not giving advice, letting him do what he wanted to do, and he was losing the fight. Didn't want to go for a takedown. He didn't want to stay in the pocket. Didn't want to be aggressive. I was yelling all that shit. I was yelling all that shit. I have no apologies for it. Like some of their teams could be upset at me and be like, dude, you're out of pocket. You're out of line. You shouldn't be in place as a fan. I'm like, well, dude, I'm all the way in the fans. If you could hear me, or you could hear me and a fighter could hear me, what are you yelling then? If you're not, give instruction. If you're giving good instruction, I hear what they're saying. If they ain't saying shit, I'm going to talk not over them. I'm talking instead of them. Like they're not providing instruction. I'm going to fucking yell. It works sometimes. It doesn't work at times. You know, certain fighters were not doing what they needed to do to win. That I bet on, that I had money on, and I'm a fan of. I'm gonna like, hey, let's get in there. You know, let's do this. You know, like, I don't know what happens. I will see at the next bout. Next time I go to the UFC, if somebody comes up to me and be like, hey, this time you gotta keep it down. We'll see. We'll see. If that happens, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Nobody around me complained. And if they did, I would have listened. If somebody like actually complained like around me, because I've been around those people, but it's been different. It's different when you're like this guy's saying a true fan and not a true fan, what Bo Jackson's saying. If I wasn't a true fan, then you could say something, hey, they can't, just chill out, man. You're fucking it up for our experience. But no, I was excited and I want to be a part of the experience. And if I wanted to sit down and not mention anything, I'd stay at home. You don't have to yell at your TV. I yell at the TV too. You know, you'll hear me yell at the TV, or at the casino, I'm actually like retained for the most part, right? Because there are other people there. But when I'm at the show, I feel like I'm at a concert. I feel like I'm at the show. I'm going to yell. I'm going to cheer. I'm going to provide instruction. I'm going to state my opinion. You know, I'm going to support my fighters and I'm going to enjoy the fight the way I want to enjoy it. I don't want it to be a detriment to the people around me. Maybe I was that guy, but at the same time, I know what I'm cheering for. I know what I'm doing. And I'm enjoying it. That's the way I'm enjoying the fights. When you go to a live event, you know, if you want to cry, you can go on ahead and cry. You know, whatever it's a concert, you want to scream, throw your fucking bra off, take your clothes off, sing the song, fucking whatever you want to do, man. At the end of the UFC event, my voice was parched. They couldn't hear me. I couldn't even yell anymore. My voice was so gone, yelling so much, and I don't mind it. You know, other people are woo. That's all they could do. No, I'm gonna yell. Get in the fucking phone booth. Combat. Let's get to combat. Control. Let's look for that sub. I'm fucking. I'm saying shit. I'm fucking into the fight. And it may not be my place, but as a fan, then cloud me out. If you're not, Fighters need to be trained to learn to listen to their coach's voice, not a fan's voice. If they're hearing my voice over their own team, that's a problem for both the fighter and the team, right? If they're hearing Roberto fucking yell out instructions rather than their team, that's a problem. And you'll hear that in place, knee, most stupid, all the time, knee. You know, like that's the most dumb advice in every fucking UFC, MMA, kickboxing event you ever go to. Knee. You have fans yelling, knee. Whatever. I don't know. I do know. I was just very happy. I'm going to try to tone it down the next event I go to because I don't want to. I'm going to go to more UFC events in the next year or two, and I don't want to be known as that guy. I mean, I can be, but I don't want to be known as that guy all the time. And maybe I did tarnish a couple people's experience around me, but for the most part, they didn't mention it. They could have asked me, hey, could you just sit down, just chill out? Nobody said anything like that. So, and if they did, I wouldn't have been angry at them. I wouldn't have been like, fuck you, I can do whatever I want. Fuck you, I paid for my ticket. That's not me. If you told me to chill out, I would have chilled out. You told me like, hey man, your yelling's bothering us a little bit. Just tone it down a little bit. I would tone it down, man. I listen to people, man. I do. I will, and I do listen to people. It's how you approach it. You come at me with respect, we're going to get respect, right? I'm going to give respect. You know, you'd be like, hey, I get it. You're into the fights. You know, you're animated. I get it. We're not as animated. We won't come here to enjoy it in this way. Just a little bit. Just chill out a little bit, man. Cool. We even buy you a beer, fucking get you a hot dog, whatever. I'll be like, oh, cool, man. I'm sorry. I want you to enjoy yourself too. Respect that. Let me chill out, and I'll chill out. I will chill out. You know, like if Dana came, or I'd be embarrassed if Dana came. Dana didn't want to talk to me, but it was just good. I stay away from Dana. I'm like, I'm drunk, man. I get by Dana, I'm going to sound like an idiot like I did around other people. But Dana, don't cross the boss. Don't cross the boss, guys. Don't go to a UFC event and be too drunk in front of Dana, because just like Junie and all these other fucking fighters that he's already used to being crazy, he'd be like, no, you're not getting those free tickets anymore. You're not sitting in my premium seats anymore. You're gone. We're finding out who you are, and you're not even fucking coming to an event anymore. And I don't think I'm like that. I'm hoping when I meet Bisping again, when I meet Brendan again, and I meet all these fighters again, that it's going to be cool, and I think it will be. Even Guida, I want to meet Guida and ask him like, hey, I was that dude in Kansas City who was yelling from the crowd. Did it bother you? Did it affect you in a certain way? Did you hear me? And if he didn't, fine. But I'm going to mention it. I'm going to dry snitch on myself or whatever. And if he says, yeah, I heard you, you fucking asshole, that's fine. I'm going to accept it. I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, brother. This is the way I felt. You know, I was rooting with you. I wanted you to win. I was just rooting for my fighter, and you're my fighter, and I wanted you to do well. And you didn't do well. But that, you know, like I said, I know I need to change a little bit on those live events, and I'm hoping to go to Carolina. I just need to get the days off at work, which is hard to do, but you might see me at Carolina. Guys, I'm going to let you guys go. If you made it this far, you are about better. Thank you, Real News, Bo Jackson, everybody else, UFC, Howlerhead, you know, all these other cappers. Have a good week. Let's have a good weekend. We'll check you guys out on the back end.